They've upped by 2 shipments the number of shipments that will be coming in here over the coming weeks, just as a prudent measure from the company.
This is the moment Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen and Viva Energy CEO Scott Wyatt stood side by side to reassure a nervous public, saying that our fuel supply lines were strong and intact.
Crude oil that we process here is not dependent on the Middle East. We take crude oil from much closer to home, and those supply lines are strong and intact.
But just days after that high-stakes press conference, the same facility where they were standing was engulfed in a massive inferno. An overnight blaze has ripped through the Geelong oil refinery, one of 2 remaining oil refineries in the country. It burned for more than 12 hours, crippling a site responsible for 10% of Australia's fuel supply. The fire broke out because of an equipment failure in the MoGas section of the plant, the area where motor gasoline is produced. The timing could not be more catastrophic. Australia is already in the grip of a national fuel crisis, driven by a global shortage and escalating conflict in the Middle East. To combat this, the Geelong refinery had been pushed to its limit, ramping up production to keep the state of Victoria moving. But the strain might have proven too much for the ageing facility. Saul Cavendish from MST Financial told us that running refineries at full capacity increases the risk of accidents.
It's going to be really hard to scramble the fuel to where it's going to need to be over the coming weeks across the state of Victoria. This disruption is going to make demand management measures, which could include coercive rationing, more likely to happen earlier than it otherwise would have.
He added that the fire couldn't have happened at a worse time in Australia's history.
It's actually unbelievable. If you could pick the worst possible time to have a fire at a refinery in the entire history of Australia's fuel industry, it's right now, and that's what's happened.
The Australian Workers' Union has gone even further, describing the 70-year-old site as a major hazard facility and claiming they aren't surprised it went up in flames. While Viva Energy insists there is no immediate impact to supply, the long-term outlook is grim. With Geelong's petrol production now limited, Australia is more reliant on expensive international imports than ever before. We are already seeing the lengths Australia must go to just to keep the lights on, shipping diesel from as far away as the United Kingdom and West Africa to make up for a shortfall from our Asian neighbours who rely on oil through the Strait of Hormuz. The fire in Geelong hasn't just damaged a refinery, it has exposed the extreme fragility of Australia's energy security at the worst possible time.
At this point, the refinery is still producing diesel and jet fuel at reduced levels as a safety precaution, but is still producing, still operating. The major impact at this point appears to be more on petrol production, but we'll work closely with Viva over the course of today. Obviously, the fire's still burning, so we can't make any final conclusions about the impact. It's not a positive development. It will have an impact,